2016, the United Arab Emirates wanted to be a global tech hub, a beacon of innovation in the Middle East. But behind the gleaming skyscrapers of Abu Dhabi, they were building a state-sponsored hacking operation disguised as a cybersecurity company. The company was called DarkMatter, and what they really did was far darker than their name suggests. DarkMatter Group was founded in the UAE around 2014, officially marketed as a cybersecurity firm protecting critical infrastructure. They hired top talent from NSA, CIA, and elite Israeli intelligence units. These weren't just programmers, these were people who had spent careers breaking into the most secure systems on Earth. The pitch to recruits was simple: work on cutting-edge technology, make serious money, and help protect a nation from cyber threats. Tax-free salaries in six figures, luxury apartments, a chance to build something important. But the reality was very different. Former employees who later spoke to Reuters described what actually happened inside DarkMatter. They weren't defending infrastructure. They were breaking into phones, emails, and computers of journalists, human rights activists, and political dissidents. The operation was called Project Raven, and it was essentially a state-sponsored espionage program run by American hackers on behalf of the UAE government. Here's how it worked. DarkMatter operatives used a sophisticated hacking tool to remotely access iPhones without the target ever clicking a link or downloading anything. This was a zero-click exploit, one of the most valuable types of vulnerabilities in cybersecurity. If you had someone's phone number or email, you could potentially own their device completely. Who did they target? Activists pushing for democratic reform in the UAE. Journalists investigating corruption, rival royal family members, even American citizens were reportedly surveilled. One target was a Nobel Peace Prize nominee. Another was a prominent female human rights activist. The UAE government wanted to know who they were talking to, what they were planning, and how to stop them. The American operatives justified it at first. They told themselves they were preventing terrorism, protecting national security. But as the target lists grew to include poets, academics, and teenagers posting criticism on social media, some began to have doubts. In 2019, several former Project Raven operatives spoke anonymously to journalists. They described an operation with virtually no oversight, where anyone the UAE leadership wanted monitored could be added to the target list. Some targets were subjected to Karma, a surveillance platform that could intercept communications on a massive scale. DarkMatter's leadership was connected directly to UAE intelligence services. The company wasn't just working with the government. It essentially was the government's cyber arm, outsourced to avoid international scrutiny. And it wasn't just hacking. DarkMatter also worked on broader cybersecurity infrastructure for the UAE, handled government contracts, and positioned itself as a legitimate player in global tech. They attended international conferences, hired respected executives, and tried to build partnerships with Western companies. But the contradiction was impossible to hide. How do you run a cybersecurity company whose primary operation is offensive hacking against civilians? Here's where it gets even murkier. DarkMatter allegedly had connections to Inso Group, the Israeli firm behind Pegasus spyware. There are reports of knowledge sharing, former employees moving between companies, and similar targeting methodologies. The private surveillance industry is a small world, and these firms all seem to orbit each other. In 2019, U.S. prosecutors charged 3 former American intelligence operatives who worked for DarkMatter with violating export control laws and providing sophisticated hacking services to a foreign government. They eventually admitted guilt in a deferred prosecution agreement, paying fines but avoiding prison. Former DarkMatter employees describe a culture where questioning orders was discouraged. You did your job, collected your paycheck, and didn't ask too many questions about the young activist whose phone you just compromised. Some eventually left, disturbed by what they'd participated in. Others stayed, convinced they were doing necessary work, and DarkMatter kept recruiting, kept operating, kept proving that in the modern era, repression doesn't require secret police kicking down doors.